Number two is love for numbers. अगर love for numbers नहीं है तो मैम they join MBA program thinking of finance and later on looking at those stats and Excel sheets they're like oh that's not my ball game.
No, काफी लोग बोलते हैं कि मैम मैं बचपन से ही मेरे को फाइनेंस करना था. This is what I wanted to do. I always dreamt I'll become an investment banker. That's fine. It's always good to have a dream, but it's more important that you work towards that dream.
One question what people always ask me, sir, I want to do MBA in finance and I'm going to be sitting in that golden chair giving that interview. What kind of questions a dean or a director can ask me? And I've got Madhu ma'am. Hi Madhu ma'am, welcome on board.
Hi Sumit, how are you?
Ma'am, बहुत amazing हूँ. By the way, ma'am has worked on a Goldman Sachs program with ISB and currently she's the dean of Welingkar Bangalore. She is running a program where they have pledged that 10,000 women entrepreneurs को पढ़ाना है, लिखाना है और entrepreneurship का taste करवाना है so that they can live their own life and they can be on their personal growth as well. And ma'am is the founder of Padhai NGO as well. Ma'am, it's really amazing. I was humbled by your story today and it's really amazing, ma'am. I'm humbled. Thanks for joining in today, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And Sumit, I think more and more MBA students should look to being job givers rather than job seekers. So entrepreneurship, while it was for the 10K program, I think it's for everybody. Everybody who's pursuing a business management course should look to become an entrepreneur and give out more jobs. That's where the economy is going to be headed.
I personally feel, ma'am, MBA is about, entrepreneurship is about social entrepreneurship. It's like
Yes.
it's like helping other people grow. Yeah, the CEO makes more money, but he works 2x, 3x than other people. But end of the day, you are impacting more and creating more jobs. That's what India needs, isn't it, ma'am?
Absolutely. See, it's good to make money, but we also talk of companies doing a lot of CSR. But before CSR, there's always an ISR, which is an individual social responsibility.
Wow.
If all of us have that, that can definitely, convert when you have big companies and you're owners of big companies. It can convert to the company having a very effective CSR policy.
Superb. And ma'am has also done a PhD on microcredit for women entrepreneurship as well. So boys and girls, stay glued to the video. I'm going to ask some questions to ma'am. Ma'am, what are the 5 things when a student is sitting in front of you? Ma'am is leading a team of NIT, IIT guys, professors with the IIT Bombay and whatnot. I've met ma'am's team. Ma'am, you've interviewed such people. They're reporting to you as well in your later part of life. Some of these students who are listening to us, they're going to go to IIM A, B, C's of the world. Some of them going to be joining Welingkar, Bombay or Bangalore, or maybe joining my school, SPJain Bombay. What is the first thing you want to ask them or know about them when they say, "Mujhe MBA in finance karna hai"?
First and foremost is, MBA, which means MBA is not just for picking up a degree. It's picking up an experience. There are so many courses available online and you could study content anywhere. But when you join a B school, you join it because you're passionate about learning. You have a lot of curiosity and inquisitiveness where you want to learn.
Yeah.
And you want to learn from an ecosystem, which means there's a vibrant mix of excellent faculties. There's a vibrant mix of people from different backgrounds, experience. And then comes in, okay, I want to do MBA and then I want to specialize in finance. So definitely these 2 qualities, saying curiosity, having a little bit of passion, inquisitiveness, wanting to learn. And if you have people with work ex coming in to join, they should be first willing to unlearn. Yeah. And then relearn.
Unlearn whatever we have learned in the past life, because you're sitting in the chair right now. There's not only one boss, there are like multiple professors. Who are your bosses right now? Like unlearning bhi zaruri hai. Great, ma'am. Great.
So specifically for finance, definitely there's a love towards numbers, wanting to work with numbers. And believe me, folks, finance is not about joining investment banks. There are so many opportunities for students picking up finance. So if you have that skills to tell a good story using numbers, and you're able to convince teams, that there is a good investment or there's a good valuation, then these are the traits we look for students who want to specialize in finance.
Superb. So number 1 is passion रहना चाहिए कि भाई मेरे को करना ही करना है. A lot of courses are available online. Resume पे दिखना चाहिए, you're passionate about finance. So I tell them every month pick up a small course and then start learning. There are multiple courses from NCFM, NSCs of the world. Now with Coursera opening up, I tell them learn blockchain as well, So we'll speak about that. So number 1 is passion. Number 2 is love for numbers. अगर love for numbers नहीं है तो मैम they join MBA program thinking of finance and later on looking at those stats and Excel sheets they're like oh that's not my ball game, isn't it?
No, काफी लोग बोलते हैं कि मैम मैं बचपन से ही मेरे को फाइनेंस करना था. This is what I wanted to do. I always dreamt I'll become an investment banker. That's fine. It's always good to have a dream, but it's more important that you work towards that dream. If you have essentially a flair for numbers, there's a little bit of critical thinking, analytical thinking, and saying, hey, I understand this. I might not be an expert. And from these numbers, I can make sense and be able to take logical decisions and get to a little bit of strategic decision making. Then that's an ideal candidate because we see a lot of these traits of wanting to learn more, wanting to experiment,
Yeah.
and wanting to excel. They're
Number three is
important.
critical reasoning. मैम थोड़ा सा और बताइए like critical reasoning. Why do a finance guy need critical reasoning? I mean, and in decision making process. I know the answer, but I want to learn from the horse mouth.
So I have a slightly different version also of this, Sumit. See, when you say finance, right from price of petrol to the war in Ukraine, to what it has done to inflation, to how now Russia demanding money in rubles, everything is going to impact business.
Yeah.
And somebody who says, I want finance should be able to see these patterns and trends and say, hey, agar ye ho raha hai, how is my business getting impacted?
Super.
It's not always about having that Excel sheet in front of you and saying, okay, I have this ratio or I can calculate year on year growth. It's also about what is happening at an economy level.
Right.
You are able to see those patterns, see how these patterns are impacting individual businesses. मतलब macro से आप micro को आओ, look at how it is going to impact businesses. How is it going to impact businesses in India? And therefore, what is it that companies should be doing to look at this?
Super.
So, when we look at annual budget or when we look in the newspapers, topics like inflation, prices of something going up, GST kind कुछ हो रहा है, or maybe the exchange rates have changed, a person with a lot of curiosity will say, how do I read this information? How do I absorb it? And how do I make sense saying how is it going to impact business?
Super.
That curiosity should be there.
Super, and
You
also,
can be,
you're drawing the line to even taking to the stock market, like Russia stock
Yes.
market crashed, again pulled back, taking money in rubles. I mean, that's a really good move by Russia. All right, ma'am, we're done with the three. What about the last two? Let's come to the number two. Number two, what's the most important thing you're going to ask them once you're sitting in the interviews?
So I'm going to ask that if the person is a team leader, how does his presence make a difference to the team? What can he bring to the table, especially if, he has a team of people from different backgrounds. And now he has to presume he's a finance manager and he has to answer this. That's typically something which I would like to ask because one, it allows me to test his managerial abilities and capabilities, looking at and especially when I say diverse backgrounds, how is he in terms of the empathy quotient, trying to understand other people's strengths, weaknesses. And being a finance manager, what is it? What is his strength? What can he personally bring to the table? So questions which I ask usually are scenario based, asking a person to imagine he's a manager and he has to sort out or resolve something. And he has to, use his imaginative skills and creative skills and answer this question.
Great.
And while he's doing this, we test him on all these. We test him on communication skills. We test him on his leadership skills because you're a leader if you have people who are actually following you. It's not because you've called yourself a leader. So I would like to see how he wants to take his team along. I would also check for his thinking abilities in terms of prioritizing, how he would prioritize in terms of decision making. And of course, in terms of his overall perspective towards running large teams.
This is primarily about the leadership, the interpersonal skills, how you can. Ma'am, ये चीज़ हमें पहले नहीं पता होता when I was growing up, MBA. In fact, MBA is all about working in a group, working in a team. Those group dynamics, what we learn in organization behavior, they are also very important from finance perspective because all your presentations, all your decision making is not going to be with you only, as ma'am rightly said. So leader is not a born leader; he's like a made leader, and when people start following him, then that's the true leader. Rather than खुद ही बोलना हाँ भाई हम leader हैं. Great, ma'am. These are the 4 points. What's the last thing on the top of your head which you want to tell them? All these would-be finance majors or people who are generally giving the interviews in top business schools.
You might be very good in what you're doing right now, or you might presume that you're good in numbers. But if you see how things are evolving, one has to be a continuous learner and one has to keep picking things. Let me give you an example. When I did my graduation, there was nothing called as derivatives. I had not even heard of them. But today, when we talk in today's time, I can't say I never learned this in college or I did not study this. So one has to keep evolving and everything is not taught. There are things which you need to observe and see that how will you absorb them and start using them in your daily life. And when I say daily life, even being a B school student is a daily life. So how do I pick up all this and then answer and then use my presence of mind and then say that I have been keeping myself updated? That's very important in today's time. Like I said, there is content available everywhere, even at your fingertips.
Correct.
But then if you have decided not to look, not to search, then you could always have this excuse saying ये तो मैंने पढ़ा ही नहीं.
Ma'am, I'm going
ये तो
to come back to the first. It links back to the first topic, being curious and being innovative. I'm going to ask you like, मैं इनको बोलते रहता हूँ, blockchain पढ़ लो, analytics पढ़ लो, because finance is no longer finance, it's fintech. Gone are the days when derivatives was not there. Now fintech is getting a part of the whole call. Is it worth to pick up certifications on blockchain and stuff?
Absolutely. In fact, all students who say that they want to aspire to be finance professionals have to pick up courses in terms of technology, leveraging technology for financial decision making. If you go and look at websites of, let's say, even PwC or ENY, there are verticals which says blockchain in trade finance, which means how are they using all this information? How is this entire technology changing the way the business is going to be done? One example which today's students are seeing, and we are seeing that revolution happening, is again crypto. There are very few students who understand that. There are equal number of youngsters in India who today want to try their hands at crypto. So all this, folks, is learning and also applying somewhere in your daily life. So keep learning, and that continuous learning is very important. There are topics which keep changing by the day and evolving by the day. That's today's life.
That's
very
so
fast-paced.
amazing. By Dean of Business School is with us. मैं जब भी ऐसे लोगों को मिलता हूँ, मैम को बोलता हूँ, मैम please come on my channel, inspire other people. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you one last question, which is you worked really hard with the Goldman Sachs program. You've your own NGO. You've owned your life is in a role. Ma'am, I was talking to ma'am about their personal life. Ma'am got a husband whom she met in her college. Thank you so much for coming on board, ma'am. Last thing, any parting thoughts with all these MBAs who are getting into the race of becoming managers, becoming empathetic managers, giving back to society? They also want to work big. They want to bring a change. What's your parting thought with your experience of 20 plus years in the industry and academia?
Folks, data has become the new gold, right? So look at things around which is going to influence individual behavior, and also businesses. So for instance, now we are not just talking about investments, but we're talking of neural networks. We're talking of how psychology and behavior is impacting economics. So don't restrict yourself in terms of saying, I have learned so much and therefore I will look for a career in this. Finance specialization doesn't become only finance. There is economics. Now there is behavioral finance. The behavior and psychology getting added to it. Look yourself to be a very well-rounded personality. So you should have aspects where you make a great manager. You understand all aspects of business. So to understand all aspects of business, first be a good salesperson. Sell yourself, right? So there's marketing. There's understanding psychology. Of course, you are wanting to expert in finance. And of course, also to understand the concept of saying, how do I reduce error, zero error? So you see there's also an operation technique involved in what you want to do.
Right.
So be well-rounded individuals. Like I said, knowledge and content is available at fingertips. Use those right keys to get to knowledge. Try and learn maximum to add it to all this creativity, design thinking, innovation. The learning environment has become like a big theater today. There are so many aspects to it. So play a good game. You could be playing a very small role, but play such a role that you're noticed as an actor, right? So bring all these aspects to your forefront in terms of saying, this is what I want to be in the next 2 years. Most people, Sumit, stop with a post-graduation, right? Which means in India, at least, people, once they finish their post-graduation masters, that's where they stop. Those who are very passionate will go ahead and say, I'll do a PhD. When you're doing the last qualification, which is going to go on your CV as a master's course, do it in style.
Wow.
Don't be at the top of your class, but be an all-rounder that people should look up to you and say, hey, this is the job, this guy can do it.
क्या बात है मैम, it's like a pre-mini MBA session what you've given us. Boys and girls, big thank you लिखो नीचे comments के अंदर, और like पक्का ठोक देना, and नीचे let's continue the discussion. What is the one thing you want to learn more when you're going to be doing your MBA? What is one thing if you want to do an MBA in finance or marketing or HR, drop करिए comment और मैं आपके comments को reply करूँगा, and we'll keep talking. Thank you so much for joining in, ma'am. This was lovely having you on board. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye, ma'am. Take care. Thank you.